We're going to go ahead and go live now. Okay, we are live on Facebook. Okay, and YouTube. And this is the mayor of the airwaves. I have the governor of the airwaves on. We're going to be talking about Donald Trump's dilemma today. Donald Trump's dilemma. But in the meantime, underneath David Walsh's photo, it says governor of the airwaves. I say mayor of the airwaves. I thought if somebody's passing by, they're going to think this is a ludicrous, goofy group. But then again, if you have a country and you name your money Loonies and Toonies, I don't know if you've been to Canada lately, David, but they got loonies and toonies they've had for years up there, and which I like. Huh?
Canada's descending into chaos, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
Pierre Trudeau was just the worst. I mean, he's like OC. What's her name is Costa. She's like a lefty. He's like a lefty.
Do you think but they reelected him. Do you think maybe that wasn't legitimate?
Well, maybe it was not. I don't know. Or maybe there's a lot of people that do not participate. They sit back and say, let George do it, and that doesn't work. It results in situations like this. And that also occurs with us, too.
Well, Dominion was fine. I mean, Dominion was accused, and then they sued people. I forget who got sued for a lot of money for saying Dominion had messed up the election. But, there is going to be a time of learning, whether it's Dominion or Fox News. That's right. They had to pay, $1 billion or $800 million or something?
Uh-huh.
I forget what it was, like $800 million. And so but now what happens if it comes out now? Because I read something the other day saying, again, somewhere that they have proof that the last election was in fact messed with. There's going to be a period where we're going to have people elected who shouldn't be elected because we got these young people who arrogantly think they don't believe in America, they don't believe in our Constitution, and they believe they know what's right for everybody else. Could we get a closer up of me so we don't have the girth of my body? No, I don't like that. I don't particularly like this shirt anyway. Barbara likes this shirt. I don't like this shirt. The cream washes me out, So anyway, I want to look Hollywood for my people. What a joke. Hollywood. Yeah, they'll put me. I wonder if I could be in the movies now. What part could I possibly play, David? Walsh?
Well, why don't we stick to the first thing we were talking about?
Let's talk about Donald Trump's dilemma.
Oh, God almighty. We were talking about Canada, and then we were talking about the validity of the election process in the last presidential election. And there are all kinds of theories and conspiracies. The bottom line is I think it was stolen and I think it was crooked.
In Canada?
What's going to happen? Nothing will happen because there would be chaos if we could try to go back and what are we going to do? Take him off out of the closet there, and all 4 years, everything he did is invalid? No, we can't do that.
Of course, so that means technically that Trump will be running for a third run.
No, he will not be running for a third run. He'll be running for the second run. And so.
No.
Oh, what?
That's my no machine.
No means no.
Okay.
So anyway, do you think Trudeau? Do you think they messed with the machinery up in Canada? I'm wondering now.
Idea, but as I was saying, if people don't fully participate in the election process, we have things like this. Russia went to communism with about 17% of the people making it happen. 17%. And they had slavery up until the 1890s. They were one of the last countries to abandon slavery. But still, the people who have a mindset because they've been under the heel of the rulers for so long. But anyway, let's go back to Trump and his dilemma. It's important to note, and it's extremely important to note, that every president until Trump went into office with so much money, and when they came out, their net worth was double, triple, quadruple what they had when they were in. In his case, he lost money, and a significant amount of money, because his interest is not in himself, but in the country and the validity of all our values, which no one else is embracing. And this goes back to know God. It goes to take God out of the schools. I was just thinking the other day, if we're only even civil to each other, but they can't be civil. It's just when you lose your compass, you lose your way. And our compasses are not our government, but God Himself, Jesus Christ. And what do they preach? They preach be kind to one another. If you're kind to one another, it's not going to result in this kind of mess that we're in, where the people are so polarized, and the Democrats would vote for allowing sex changes in children without telling their parents.
Oh my God, help us!
How can you do that? How can you look us in the mirror and do that? Because you have no God, and the idea is the government is everything, and if we can only control the people to our way, there will be a happy situation. Well, like Trudeau said, he loves China.
Yeah, he could. He said they've done a great job.
Yeah, I know. Well, so that's what we have.
I saw him say it.
But dignity of people and commonality. We have a lot of things in common, more in common than diverse. And bringing up racism is only another one of these crazy ideas they have. I think racism is total baloney. I meet black people, Puerto Rican people, Latin people. They're just like everybody else. They want to make a living and be left alone. It's insane.
Well, I will disagree with you on this. Let me disagree with you on this. There's a brand new museum that's just opened up all about, it was I think it was yesterday, the day before. I saw it on national news, and that is about the history of the slaves. And now they're saying, of course, now it's written right on the thing that the slaves built America. No, they didn't. It wasn't just the slaves that built America. And young black people need to know that many young white men from the Union soldiers died to emancipate black people. And and they want to erase that. But the thing is, also, they're making this big to-do out of slavery, which I'm all for. I'm all for. But I'm saying, believe me, I am in the corner. If you are a person of color, you can count on Rhett. Yes. Matter of fact, I am partially black. But anyway, we'll go into that some other day. And that's by blood, and I can prove it. Okay, so the thing is, we only got 6% of the slave traffic in America. Haiti, the other islands, going down South America. I mean, look at Cubans. Cubans are. I mean, I don't know if they're from the African race, but there's certainly many very black Cubans, you know. But anyway, the thing is that I think I don't know, I don't run into prejudice in the street, but I would say this on behalf of my dark-skinned friends. That is this. If I got to say this honestly, I would be more scared of being pulled over if I was a young black male than I would as a white young male, you know. I'm not young anymore, but even an older black male like I am. So you see, Trump is the perfect candidate, the perfectly imperfect candidate. I mean, if God wanted to inflame and stir up and set fire to the field so we would find out what was in the field, he had the perfect person. Donald Trump is at once a good leader. He's at once a very smart businessman. He brought the economy into shape. He's very good, but he's flipped with his tongue, and people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. And even though what bothered us conservatives, we overlooked that because of his abilities. But it was the perfect guy for the non-conservatives to go, oh no, we got to take control. We can control the vote. We can control this. We need to muzzle people because they're like Donald Trump. Well, the most of us are not like Donald Trump, and he was the perfect person though to set fire to the field, as the Bible says. Set fire to the field, and you'll see what was in it, and it's going to fly out. And of course, we saw some really wacky, extreme people who think that they can that a child should be able to go to a doctor and have their penis turned into a vagina or vagina turned into a penis without any parental control, and yet you can't go to the movies if you're under 16. Certain movies, unless you have parental permission, you can go and you can get an abortion without parental permission. It's just absurd. It's stupidity. And what it is the tail is wagging the dog. And it proves one thing. There's really a whole bunch of stupid people out there, you know? And then there's people that aren't necessarily stupid, but they let their emotions run everything. And anybody who's seasoned at all in this life and have any semblance of success knows when I, Rhett, let my emotions rule, I get into trouble. When I count to 10, when I fall back, when I don't send that email until I've read it again, then erase it. I'm going to send that text right now. Whoa. Wait a couple of minutes and then reread it. How many times have you sent a text or an email and then you didn't send it? Thank God, because it would have terminated that relationship. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, people are either stupid or unwise people let emotions rule, so then they feel it's okay to attack Trump. They feel it's okay to usurp the authority given to us on our Constitution. And of course, then there are those that actually believe in socialism and they believe in communism. But then again, let me ask you this: if FDR was in office today, David, you were how old were you when Franklin Delano Roosevelt was the president of the United States?
Well, I started out when I was 10. So, and when
you were 25 when he died.
Pardon me?
You were 25 when he died? 24, 25?
Let me see.
It doesn't matter. I got to figure it out. It's about 24, 25, because he was in for 16 years, or was it 14 years?
He was in from.
He won 4 times. That would have been 16 years. Minus he died in office 2 years prematurely, right?
Yeah.
So you were 24. Okay. The point being, we're just getting this is a little stumbling block here. Let's get back to the thing. Social Security. At least I'm a big enough man to admit that I'm glad we have Social Security, believe me, and so are gazillions of other people. And if today we didn't have socialism, I mean, not socialism, Social Security. Oh, there was a slip. That was a slip. And Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR, came along and said, we're going to have this Social Security. I would have been probably one of the dummies with signs going, no, we don't want to become socialists. We don't want to become socialists. And I have to say, God bless FDR. And so, it shows you that extremes are bad because Social Security. But then the bad thing is we allowed these thieves in Washington to go in and take that money. So anyway, but I'm glad we have Social Security, aren't you?
Let's get back to racism. You went far afield from what we were talking about.
Yeah.
And I'll give you some examples. I'm an old man. I go to the supermarket and I leave one of my packages inside. The little black girl comes running out. Oh, you left this inside. Does that sound like racism? I'm walking out one day and my nose is dripping. A little black girl comes up and gives me a Kleenex. I mean, there is not the antagonism that there used to exist. It used to be that the blacks were depicted as goofy. There was Amos and Andy. There was other people like that, the Step and Fetch It. And all they did was talk about low-level, not intelligent people. And they were looked upon. But now you have, whether you like them or not, you have Obama, you have Rice, the woman that was Secretary of State.
Brilliant.
And so many. And they are participating in the whole community and not as isolated as they once were. Are they a little isolated? There are some that are isolated. But there's some Irish that are isolated. There's some everything, but it's not a rule of the world. It's not something that everyone is embracing, nor do they recognize it at all. It's just crazy.
Well, it's just like if we were to judge white people on the uneducated, rough people. And there are rough people. Let's just stick to rough white people. They're
absolutely.
They're given to foul language. They don't have a vocabulary. They're not smart enough to straighten themselves up. They had bad parentage. What?
There is this element of blacks that want to get the white man, and one of them is the Attorney General of New York.
Oh, she's terrible.
He goes after Trump. And you can see I'm taking the big man down.
I'm taking the big man down, the big white man down. But people tend to be. I mean, I can remember when I was younger. I mean, getting mad at a female driving, and it was like, stupid female driver. I mean, I got over that years ago, thank God. But that is prejudice. Clumping together. Then if you get a slow driving black person, and then you go, the slow drive. There's
the insurance recognize them as more reliable face.
Who?
Go back to you were a black man and you're getting stopped by the cops.
Yeah, I would have been scared, and I still would be.
Let me talk. You're apprehensive. But my father was a state trooper.
Yeah.
And he told me anytime a policeman stops you, you give him every bit of respect.
Yes.
Yes, sir. No, sir. 3 bags full.
Compliance.
And I'm sure that there are black parents that do the same thing. It's when they don't have an education, when they don't have respect for the law, that's when they're going to have a problem. If you're a black man, you're pulled over, and you're respectful, you're not going to have a problem any more than a white man, except for the fact that they're pulling you over, which is, causes a great deal of apprehension, no matter who you are, red, yellow, or blue. So that's my speech about that. And the slavery, we talk about how unfair and all that. Well, the world is unfair. And who started bringing black slaves into the United States? Black men. They were the ones that started it. They sent them into England. They sent them here. And so was there racism? No.
Well,
All
no,
they
that wasn't
did, they
racism. That's right. No, but that was evil, and still there were white men that bought these human beings, so everybody was participatory. You know.
Well, this goes back to if you have respect for law, if you have adherence to God's principles, you're going to be all right. And when you vary from that, when you stray from that straight and narrow path, and I know, I mean, you go along and you think, well, I can make a little bit of a change. It's not going to affect anybody. It's not quite what you should do. That's your downfall. That's when you go down the rest of the way. Once we stray from the straight and narrow, we're in trouble. And it can be a little bit or a lot of it, depends on it. So I'm happy to realize, I'm happy to find out that you are not racist.
Well, I think to say blatantly with a wide brush, I'm not. Do I categorize people? I mean,
Categorize. What's the difference?
well, let me ask you something. When you meet a Polish person, do you kind of scrutinize them and go, how sharp are they? I mean, because that's a prejudice that was put in our heads as kids in school.
Okay. When you meet an Irishman, do you say that he's a drunk?
No, but you do tend to think, or at least in the past, that they have a proclivity for abuse of alcohol.
Yeah, it's a characterization that's easy for you to identify different people.
Well, look there's a new movie out on a nun, and I can't wait to see it. I might go see it today. It's a rainy day. I might go see it later today. It's about this nun that came to New York City, and the Italians were treated like scum. They were treated horribly. These beautiful little Italian boys and girls that weren't allowed to go to school. Well, I'll talk more intelligently about it when I see the show, but when I see this movie, but they say it's a new masterpiece. And do you know the name of it, Noah, that I'm talking about, or no? Oh, he doesn't know, no. A Cabrienta or Cabriata or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, so I remember seeing.
They used to call the Italians. They used to call the Italians during that period wops.
That's without papers.
Right.
But I remember seeing a sign. Hold on.
Italy, and I was talking to some people in northern Italy. And I said, why a lot of Italians immigrate to America? And he says, yeah, they're from South Italy. In North Italy, it's different. And it's so true. I mean, I remember this Italian fellow coming to the house. I guess he did some work for my father. And yes, they were low class. But then there's Italian sophistication that we were unaware of at that period of time. All we saw was the local workers. We didn't see the people that had made masterpieces of opera. Or
shoes. If you buy Italian shoes, they're superior. You buy an Italian belt. I'm wearing a belt made in Italy right now. It's superior. And by the way, folks, I got it online. Don't be duped, because I paid a little bit more than I did for my former belts that didn't last long at Walmart. I embarrassingly bought a couple of belts at Walmart a couple of years ago. I'll never do that again. But I get these. I was given these belts, and they were purchased online, made in Italy. You do not have to pay. You'll be duped if you go online and think you got to pay $150 for a good belt. Nope. These were under $40. I got a brown one and a black one, and I love them. They're so well done. But anyway, the Italians, just like the Vespa scooter, I own a Vespa scooter. A Vespa scooter will last. They last hundreds of years so far. I mean, they've only been in business maybe 150 years, whatever. But they just last. They're durable. So you said low class. Now I don't know what you mean by low class because.
Well, they were not wealthy. They were not involved in society, in the general American society. They were mostly laborers.
Okay, but hold on. I got something I want to say though. See, now, you're 97 years of age, and I'm right with you because I'm in that group. But I also have an eye on the younger group now, and I'm going to tell you, there's a whole lot of low class people that think that wealth makes for class, and it does not. And the young people today, you got a bunch of real, huh?
That's always been the case.
You've got a bunch of wealthy young people now. You don't get famous because you've accomplished something today. You get famous because you're Paris Hilton and you can pay. What a phony baloney who needs to disappear off the face of the earth, as far as I'm concerned, or just disappear from the public view, not off the face of the earth. I don't mean it that way, but I mean like these.
Because there is not a serious approach to life.
No, we're not taught that wealth is not class.
We know that. Razzle
no,
dazzle.
You know that. I've learned it, and this young people need to learn it because we used to have a butcher. What was his name? Andy the butcher, whatever. When I was a kid, now he had one little butcher shop. He had a family. He was like a friend of the family, going every week to get your meats. Now, if you own one butcher shop, they look at you like, "What's the matter with you? How are you going to live off of $65,000 a year or $100,000, whatever is the little amount these days?" I mean, there's no honor in being an honest working man who has the sensibility and the intellect and the wisdom to understand maybe coming home at 5 o'clock isn't such a bad thing to have quality time when you die. It'd be good if we could take people to their day of death and go, "Oh, I wish I hadn't gone into the office another day to make another $1 million a year. I could have been with my kids. I could have been with my family. I could have been somebody of value instead of just having a stupid bank account that's high."
I have nothing bad against a good bank account.
When it's your focus. Jesus didn't say money was evil. He just said the love of money is evil. If I'm a shirt manufacturer and you're my neighbor, David Walsh, and I sell you a shirt that's going to fall apart in 6 months to a year, then I certainly don't love you. And it says, love your neighbor as yourself. I would not sell you drugs that I knew were bad for you. You know what I'm saying? So,
this goes back to my original point. There was lack of civility, or lack of
civility.
Touch for anyone else. And God says, love one another. If you love anybody, just as you just pointed out, if you love people, and you're going to get a kind reception. But if you my way is the highway, and that's all there is to it, you're going to be in for a long slug, I'll tell you. A long slug.
Well, I tell you what, I've learned. I'm learning about elegance, civility. What's the word that I'm writing that book on now? Starts with a
dignity.
Dignity. Learning what exactly that is. And Bob Dylan and my friend David Usher are the one that ushered in that into my being. And now it's the Lord's been breathing on it. And, we need a new flood of civility. If people would only know, it's actually more fun to be civil. It's more fun to give dignity. Tell me something. You're in traffic and you let somebody out. Doesn't that feel good? And when you push ahead and get in front of somebody and do it wrong, let's say the traffic's narrowing down to one lane because they're doing construction, and you know the right lane is open all the way up there. So you take that and get ahead of all the people you should not be ahead of. You kind of get up there, and if you have any kind of sensibility, at least for a second, you're going to feel like kind of a little guilty, you know. Now, you can justify by saying, well, I'm on my way to my doctor, or I'm pregnant, I'm about to give birth, or I have diarrhea, or whatever the situation is. But, you know, when you put yourself first, it's not as much fun. When I hold the door open for somebody at the post office, and they say, oh, thank you, you're a gentleman and a scholar. I do that with kids all the time. They hold the door open for me because I'm an older guy now. And I go, well, thank you. What a kind, good gentleman. And I love saying that to kids. Hispanics, blacks, whites, all of them. There are a lot of good young people. And when they get praised for being good, they want to be more good. If they get attention. Huh?
All of us have that same reaction.
Yeah.
So when I think about getting ahead of the other guy, pulling into the lane or whatever, I think about this saying, John, no, I was just going to say it. Here lies the body of Jonathan Gray. He died disputing the right of way. He was right, dead right, as he went along, but he's just as dead as if he was wrong. I love it.
Yeah, I see people acting like that on the highway, and I go, I wonder how many people die every year because of their impatience on the highway.
But not only that, but I look at people who are pompous, who want to lord over other people with their money, or I'm smarter than you, whatever. And I wonder, do they ever think everybody's world was going to end? It's a serious proposition that most people avoid thinking about. But, you know, you're no better than anybody else, no matter what you are. You could be king, you could be master of all your survey, but you're still just another human being.
Let me ask you this. Because of you, I was watching a little bit of Suits last night. Remember you said that on Netflix, you like Suits?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in walks, right now it's towards the beginning of the program. You've got that young kid that he hired, and he's kind of like, you know, they come into the building. I don't know. Does that take place in New York City or is that LA? Where is that practice?
It was filmed, I think, in Toronto.
Oh, really? Well, that's because it's cheaper to film up in Toronto, but maybe it's supposed to be New York. But anyway, they walk into this glorious new high rise, and of course they have people there for security. And, you know, this guy's walking in, and, you know, it's nothing for him to buy a $5,000 suit. And this kid that's just starting out said, oh, I spent $500 on 5 suits. And the guy looks at him and is like, you know, those are my kind of suits, you know. Anyway, but when they walk into they're conversing, and when they walk in on the first floor, and I see them, this guy's probably making, I don't know how many million, probably gets a $2 million bonus every year at least. You know, these law firms that make $1 billion, people have no idea how much these real successful ones. There's a lot of poor lawyers, but my dad was a lawyer, but there's also a lot of rich ones. And you're walking by a security guard. Now, I happen to be sensitive to this because I was a security guard at Albany Medical Center when I was 19 years of age, going to college. I don't know what I got, $2.75 an hour, $3 an hour. I don't know what I got paid back then, but you know, he walks in, and the security guards may be making $15 an hour, let's say, and this guy can make as much as $25,000 an hour. And I'm thinking, how does he feel when he's walking by a security guard? He must feel somehow, because of their pockets, because of their purse, because of their wallet, that he's somehow superior to that security guard. And yet that security guard may go home and have great wisdom and love his children, and maybe have to live in a very modest residence. So, you know, because we tend to judge by this money thing now.
Well, you can't necessarily say that everybody's making money looks down upon or ignores the plight of the person making less money.
No, they don't. No.
Yes, but there are some. There are some
Oh yeah.
that feel like,
Particularly those that inherit it and don't earn it. They think they actually go through. But you know what the funny thing about people that think they're better than other people? They actually get immediate. It's like the law of reciprocity. Some would call it karma, the cycle of life. Because I tell you what, when you walk around with your nose up in the, it's misery. It's no fun. Yeah, I have a friend of mine that has a medical practice on the beach here. And some of the ladies working for that practice say, a lot of the people are very nice on this very wealthy beach I live at in Vero Beach, Florida. We have more Fortune 500 retired CEOs than any zip code in the United States of America. But there are other people that come in and they just act snippety and not nice. And I will tell you this, folks, there's one way to deal with people that are snippety. You turn to them and you go, I do not give you permission to talk down to me that way, or our relationship is over. I don't give a damn if they're paying you $1,000 a minute. You turn around and say, you're not going to talk down to me like that. And I tell you what, I learned that from Barbara. There was a situation recently where somebody did that. They were acting that way. Like Barbara told me, she can be pretty tough if somebody's talk. We had somebody working at the house, and he got started to belittle her for something she hadn't taken care of, or something like he thought she should have, or whatever it was. And I said, I hope you put an end to that right away. She says, oh yeah, I can be tough if I need to be. Thank goodness. But there are those of us like wimps like me that take it for years, abuse from bullies. And I've learned you stand up to the damn bullies, right?
absolutely.
Now, how can Trump stand up to this bully in New York City?
I'll tell you what, I admire his tenacity. Who would think, after all he's gone through, they tried to, in every which way, to thwart his ability to run again for president. And he still went ahead. All the lawsuits, everything, he still plies ahead. I mean, a lesser man would quit and say, go to hell. And he said that. He said, he said that he's in it for the country, he's in it for the people. And his aside comments are disappointing, but he is a good man, and he gets things done, and he's an honest man. The last honest man. God, it's awful. Anyway, so that's it, Mr. Palmer.
The last, that sounds like a title of a book, The Last Honest Man.
Yeah, well, there was the last angry man was Winston Churchill.
Oh, yeah?
And that is a book.
But, you know, one thing we do need in our society, and that is honesty. And being honest with oneself. Since I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve today, I might as well, I'll tell a story. I've been recently thinking about this, how much honesty can emancipate people. In other words, like, I was in the music industry, and at the age of 16, 17, 18, 19, I'd take the train to New York City, and I'd get turned down by all these publishers. Well, rightfully so, because my songs sucked. But anyway, they would sit there with their big cigars and say, well, come back next year, kid. Keep working on your craft. Keep working on your craft. And Lena, whatever is up in Saratoga. I remember auditioning for her. Cafe Lena's the famous cafe owner. And she said, well, keep working on your craft. Keep working on your craft. But I stopped. I said I would never quit. Well, who was it? Calvin Coolidge, who said nothing can take the place of persistence. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Talent will not. For persistence is omnipotent, and blah blah blah. So I said to myself, I'm never ever going to quit in my life. But here's what I did, and I read this recently. Some young person used this term, and I went, "Wow! Someone has coined a phrase. It's called the quiet quit." The quiet quit. I got so many rejection slips from all the record companies and stuff for years. I was going to decoupage a wall with these. I collected them and make it my wall of success because it was my wall of rejection. And as you know, we fall forward to success. Well, I got turned down and ripped off by Columbia Records, and then Liberty Records almost signed me $500,000. Somebody put the money down for a recording contract in Nashville. Anyway, everything fell apart. So you know what I did about 30-something years ago? I stopped sending in my songs to be rejected. Now, I'm never going to quit. I never quit. Well, yes, I did. It's called the quiet quit. I didn't admit to myself that I quit. And we have to be and this is just one place where honesty can be freeing. Admit to yourself, I've quit. Keep trying. At least send a song out every week or something, sooner or later. Whatever your situation is in life, has somebody hurt you? It's good to, instead of bottling it up, go and tell the person, hey, you hurt me. And they can either say, well, go to heck, but at least you've expressed it to them, or they might say, well, I didn't mean it that way, I'm sorry. And all of a sudden, something you're going to carry on your shoulders for the next 20 years is gone because you honestly came forward. We need more honesty. And you said the last honest man. We need honesty. The only thing about Donald Trump is he doesn't hide stuff. I mean, he's even ticked me off when he spoke about General Colin Powell, because I interviewed General Colin Powell and liked him. I don't know why he spoke ill of General Colin Powell the day after he died. You don't do that to dead people. They can't defend themselves. But anyway, forget about Donald Trump. What do you think?
Talking about honesty.
Yeah.
There's a saying, this above all, my son, be true to thyself.
Yeah.
So
when you say that, though, what do you think of?
Bomber, I have to run now.
Okay, you have to run? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You have a good day.
And you, sir.
Okay, thank you, David. Thank you. That's my friend David Walsh, and he had a little problem with his legs recently, so he has a therapist coming in, and it sounds like she arrived, so he had to cut out. But I could become a soliloquist like Rush was. I could just talk into the microphone, But I think honesty is an important thing. To thine own self be true. I've heard that all my life. I've heard it so much I never paid attention. To thine own self be true. What does that mean? What does to thine own self be true? It means, my water fill. It means to be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Also, like if you're hitting your head against the wall and you want to be a medical doctor, but you're just not cutting the grades. It's just not your thing, or you're not good at math, you're not good at science. Sometimes we have to come to a place of honesty. You may want, but the most important thing is to find out we all have our different giftings. We all are diminished in certain areas, and we also we shine in different areas. What is your area that really brings you to a center of joy? And that's what we need to seek out in our lives. Like I ran into two nurses the other day. I was over in Tampa, actually St. Pete, at this famous Italian store, and they have a coffee bar there. And I'm talking to these two nurses, and they both had a proclivity for being nurses, husband and wife. And all they serve, you could tell by their outward appearance, they love people. Well, that's what they were called to do. There are some people that are called to work with the elderly. I wouldn't want to work with the elderly. Not now. That could change in the future, but that's just never been my thing. But thank God there are people there that love the elderly, just like some people love babies, and they want to help doctors that bring forth, or they want to become a doctor that delivers babies. So the thing with all of us is this, in my opinion, which may count and may not, that's up to you, is that to find that place of joy, and it'll make its appearance. You'll see it if you're honest with yourself, just like people that run restaurants. I don't have the ability to be in a kitchen with all that mayhem. I don't like mayhem. I don't like chaos. I was just with some members of my family the other day, and they kind of like they're all this big group, and it's a lot of chaos. Well, I'm used to being by myself. You know, I like going to bookstores and libraries. I like one-on-one. When I go to dinners, I like 4 people. 6, you're cutting it on the edge. Anything over 6, nobody's talking. They're all talking at each other. You're only going to talk to the person next to you? No. If you want to have a group consultation or conference or socialization, make it 4 people. You can push the envelope to 6, but it ain't happening generally. That can work, I suppose, but not over that. You know, come on, we've all done that. Hey, we're all going to get together here and have a family thing. You know, we got a big long table with 72 of us. There's Uncle Al right down there. You haven't seen him in 20 years, and now you're going to be able to say you look down the table and so on, but you didn't really talk to Uncle Al. You didn't get a chance to. So it's an illusion. We're all going to get together, and our tribe is going to be one because we're all sitting at a big table. Be better to visit each one, take a week every week out of the month and visit with one and have an intimate conversation, you know. But anyway, so honesty. You remember Billy Joel, of course, wrote that song, "Honesty is such a lonely word." Everyone, I can't sing it much because they'll cut me out. Like on YouTube, I don't know if YouTube will, but I know that Facebook, if I sing something and it's not my copyright, we'll get notices very quickly. And sometimes they've even give us a dark screen until that piece is over or whatever. And then I've even sang some of my own songs, and they thought it was copywritten by Sony Tree Publishing or whatever it is. But anyway, so I kind of like the way you have this thing. I'm far enough away that you can't see how bad I look. I mean, like the star of the show is the microphone's hanging down. That's kind of good. Who's this guy over in the corner there with the on-air sign up above his head? It's kind of a decent look, though, you know? I like that. I have to listen to Noah. Noah's in his 20s. And I've not been being honest with myself because when certain things changed, went from one radio station to another station, even though that new station is far more powerful, I still was punched in the gut by having been on that other station 26 years, and the people who ended our relationship were new there, and they were not nice people. They didn't do it nicely. They did it in a very cold manner. They were not unnice in that way, but they weren't nice, you know? It wasn't nicely done, let's put it that way. There are ways to slowly end things, not abruptly in one day. But that kind of got me in the gut. And I don't know where I was going with this whole thing, but it doesn't really matter. But being honest, I know what it was about, being honest with Noah, and that is this, that, I've had to come to a place where I know that I'm resisting all the changes, and anybody that's anywhere near my age, over 50, I'm 70, I shut down. It's like, I can't. And I'm slowly learning, yes, I can. Like Noah and I were working on something here this morning. And I've realized with this new stuff, that generation, the younger generation, were taught better patience. I've always been impatient. Are you impatient? I've always been patient. With the new generation, you've got to go by trial and error with this stuff. Because if you go, heliumballoons.org instead of heliumballoons.com or whatever the situation is, you have to be very specific, and you'll get information like you never dreamed of on the internet. But if you put one dot where it doesn't belong, blockade, dead end, and that's very frustrating. So you have to take your time and ferret out things. So I would venture to say if you tested most young people, they have a lot more patience. At least than me, I know, and certainly than the other generation, because they tend to be more independent. You've got a lot of people that are entrepreneurs now. I've been an entrepreneur all my life, and I've always relied on all these people being part of my team. And now it's like, no, it's the loners that are out there. What are you doing? How are you making $17 million a year? Well, I sell lavender soap. No other kind, just lavender soaps of the world. And a lady wants lavender. I got lavender. I got lavender from the state of Washington, Wisconsin, South America, even Europe and France. I got lavender. You want lavender? I got lavender. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Maybe to focus on lavender. We are in the age of niche. The French say niche. So that's like, oh, that's the good thing to say. That's the way to say it now. It's cool. Niche. It's niche. In America, we say niche. What do you say, Noah? You say niche?
I like to pronounce loan words how the original language pronounces.
So what's the proper way?
Niche.
Niche. See, I've been corrected. Corrected by a 20-something-year-old. Loan words are fun. Loan word, what do you mean by that?
A word from another language that your home language doesn't really have a equivalent of.
Yeah, and you know what's nice about words, too? Words are concepts. Like if I say arf, arf, 4 feet, nose that smells, you might be getting the idea I'm talking about a dog. But if I just say dog, you've got the concept immediately. So communication is accelerated by the concepts of words. And that's why words are power. That's why when I dropped out of school and got an 8th grade diploma, and I'm not going to be embarrassed about it. My friend's a billionaire. Remember, he said, well, Rhett, can you imagine what I would have done if I got a 9 grades? But he got 8th grade. I got 8th grade. And I'm not comparing because I'm not a billionaire. Well, I am in some ways, but not in the way you would think. But anyway, so, I got an 8th grade education, and an older gentleman said, read. This is why I want the library in our community out at the college to be open on Saturdays, the Brackett Library. Because the best thing can happen is for the kids to go, hey, Dad, it's raining out. Let's go to the Brackett Library on Saturday. And then you get some other smart aleck people go, well, the downtown library is open. Well, personally, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I just don't like that library that much. It's kind of, and there are some creepy people that hang around there. I know I'm supposed to love all the homeless people, and I do to a degree. I know, but you got to be careful too, because I've been naive in my life and been taken advantage, and you too. You got to watch out, because once again, my emotions can say, give people money, and then I look at the guy and I go, I'm 70. I have to work. I have to work for a living. I still do. And he's sitting there with 2 good legs, two good arms. He looks to be in good health. He's slenderer than me, so he's in better health than me, maybe. And he's begging on the side of the road. I go, whoa, wait a second now. So recently, I was in Vegas, not in Las. I don't like Vegas. I didn't gamble a dime in the town next to Henderson. And there was a man there who was begging at a Walmart, and I'm walking by him, and I said, gee, kind of looked like Jesus. Incognito, maybe it was. But I said, instead of giving him money, I said, are you hungry? He goes, yes, I am. I said, come on in. And guess what? I was hungry. I had lunch with someone. It was great. I got this guy lunch. And there's a possibility that maybe I hired him to do some other things that day. Some mechanical work that needed to be done on a car. But whatever, that's my business. The point being, though, the guy was willing to work. He was also... I also didn't give him money immediately so he could go buy alcohol or drugs. And then later on he said he doesn't do alcohol and drugs. And I believe him. And I always make sure, I don't know about you, but I always make sure I say, no, I would prefer that my money, of course, once you give it, it is theirs to do with what they want to do with it. But nonetheless, anyway, so I'm rambling on with all this stuff. So, well, we've got things to do. We're working on a new podcast that has to do with reading the Bible. And I'm trying to learn how to read the Bible so it's one-on-one, so it's one person at a time, so it can be very intimate, because young people may get online and go to some very questionable websites, but they're also the people that are traveling around the internet say young people are also seeking the truth. I remember when I was younger, I was into Eastern religions, and I was doing a jingle for the American Lung Association, and this guy brought up, we're having lunch at a big table with a bunch of people, so, brought up Jesus. Oh, I was so embarrassed. Oh, my God, this is a Jesus freak. Oh, no, blah, 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 blah. Well, I thank God today that man brought up the name of Jesus, because then I had other people bring up the name of Jesus. And then Bob Dylan put out an album that he believes in Jesus. I still didn't know Jesus. And then I had a friend who was a bass player. We went to Columbia Records to work together and I looked, he was a few years younger than me, and he said he was born again. I said, what's that? And he explained the born again to Jesus, and that he was witnessing to me. I said, what's witnessing? In other words, he's being a witness of the truth of what he learned. But I watched him from the corner of my eye for like a year, Bobby Vendetta. And I tell you what, that kid had changed. There was something that changed, and that was a great witness. And then I started watching Pat Robertson. Then I got born again and had a miraculous encounter with Jesus. And then I got real religious. And then God had to knock me across the head with a broken heart. And I said, why did you do this? Why is there a pain, physical pain in my chest? And he said, I had to deliver you, not an audible voice at this time, but he said, I got an unction. I had to deliver you from a spirit of religiosity. I said, well, religiosity, what's that? And I realized that it was the religious people that killed Jesus. Jesus didn't come to establish a religion. He came to establish relationship. Your private relationship between you and him, not between Rhett Palmer, you and me. I'm not your go-between, and let no man be your go-between. You can learn from a pastor or an evangelist. You can learn from teachers, whatever. It's good. Rabbi, you can learn from. Learn. But remember, they're not God. And God wants a personal relationship with you. Who else would lay down their life and die for you? Do you think I would? Most likely not. I would hope if Jesus was standing right here, though, and I had to take a bullet for him, I dang well would. That would be great. Can you imagine if you took a bullet for Jesus? But anyway, he took a bullet for all of us, personally. And not clumped together, but one-on-one. So that's why, with this Bible thing, trying to learn how to do one-on-one for a guy that never officially studied drama, to do it one-on-one. And so we're going to be working on that recording. And Steve Milliken, the famous producer in gospel music kingdom, is going to be doing personalized music underneath me. We did this for Christmas, if you recall. We did the Christmas thing. And anyway, so that's that. And thank you if anybody's still out there viewing or listening to this. Of course, Rhett Palmer. Is it on YouTube? We're Rhett Palmer, not YouTube. We're not Vero's voice. We're Rhett Palmer. Okay, we are Rhett Palmer on YouTube. We're Rhett Palmer here. You can also download the Vero's Voice app, which probably should be changed to Rhett Palmer or some other name, because on that app we include all these other shows now, and they deserve to not be heard just by Vero Beach people, but some of these shows spill over into, we have listening in different countries, and they don't care about Vero. They don't even know what Vero is, so some sort of a name we could come up with. I don't know how complicated it is, though, to change your if somebody has our app on their phone, right, and we change it from Vero's Voice to, let's say, Rhett Palmer, or let's say Quality Shows. We change it to Quality Shows. And we change that. Will that automatically be updated? Is that what you do? You send an update? And do you know about that, Noah, or how that's done? Well, we can find out, right? We can find out. Okay. Well, anyway, so I thank you all for just listening to me today. It's been nice visiting with you, who's ever come and go or whatever. And just, we all need to want the best for each other. And it's kind of nice to want the best for others, because I'm happier when I'm giving than when I'm on the take, I presume you are too. Okay, have a great day. Adios. Who loves you, baby?